as we move on and talk about these relationships, the mentoring that one gives or receives is extremely important. Give us a little bit about the importance of seeking out mentors or becoming a mentor, and maybe we'll start with Joe, because I know you're a great mentor and you're a great mentee as well for many people.
That's a great point. I think when I was in business school, one of the things that struck me the most was you go there obviously to learn from your professors, but I probably learned as much, if not more, from my fellow classmates. If you look at people that have come from different industries, you have a real chance to get access to them and expand your scope of learning. And so I think that's something that's really important. On the seeking mentors side of things, I would encourage folks to look out, take what we've been saying about relationships, but seek mentors that don't necessarily look like them or think like you, because that's going to be the real way to expand the scope of your opportunities. In one of my past roles, one of my closest mentors initially was someone that had, I'd say nothing really in common with me from an age, from a ethnicity, from a political standpoint, but we built a real bond and it became genuine, and I think that really helped. And something that I've only really learned later in my career myself is there's a difference between a mentor and a sponsor. And when you get into certain business environments, mentors are great. You can bounce ideas off of them. They can give you direction based on their experience, but you really want to have developed a relationship so that you can have a sponsor. Because a sponsor is going to say, I want Joe in that meeting, or I want Kelly to do that story. And that is going to be what can really accelerate your career. And so it's a subtle difference, but I'd encourage you to focus obviously on developing those mentor relationships, but also by showing that you have something to offer and having someone say, I want to tap him on the shoulder because I see something in him or in her, and I'm going to help really actively guide their career. And I think that's really vital. And I've enjoyed on the mentoring standpoint just the opportunity to engage with up and coming professionals, and and I get something back at the same time. You always can be in a situation of learning, and the people that are coming behind you are going to be leaders in their own respects, and it's fun to see things in other people that maybe they don't yet see in themselves, and so that's definitely an enriching part of that interaction.
That's great, and you brought up a point that really hit home with me. I know the mentor versus sponsor point. I never thought about it like that. Man, that's significant, and I think about it in terms of. Some of you in the audience know I was an FBI agent. I was undercover for 2.5 years, but when I decided to become an FBI agent, I was applying at a time when there was a crisis in the federal government and they were about to shut down the federal government. And I'd taken the tests, I'd graduated law school, taken the tests. It took about 1.5 years to get to the point where I was. And 3 months later, they were about to shut down the federal government. Well, I had a person who was an FBI agent who was taking me through every phase of that application process. And when I was ready, when my application was complete, I had done all the testing, he made a call to Quantico, to the head of the applicants division, and said, I have somebody for you. Take his file, put it at the top. That happened. I was commissioned to come in as a candidate, and I got through it. And 3 months later, the federal government shut down. I was in the middle of that pile. I would not have been called if he didn't make that call. And if I had not been called in, that means that I would have had to wait. There was a 2-year shutdown. I would have waited 2 years to reapply because my application no longer would have been valid. Basically, that means I would not have become an FBI agent. I wouldn't have become an FBI agent, and I wouldn't have become an assistant U.S. attorney, because each job I got from that point on started with the FBI. FBI, U.S. attorney, the NFL, Jacksonville Jaguars, NBA, all emanated from the FBI and the relationships I built at the FBI. One call made that difference for me. One relationship, one sponsor. That's such a good point that you made. It was more than mentorship, it was a sponsor.